think taking on STEM, particularly in junior primary, you kind of think, how can I scaffold my teaching so that the kids are involved and so that they are question finding and problem solving and things like that. And my question to everybody was, can teachers plan effective STEM learning without student voice? And I think as teachers, we feel a lot of pressure to be organised and to make sure we know where we're going and that we've got all of our learning intentions set out in stone and the curriculum's all perfectly aligned. But realistically, that's taking away so much of the student agency. And in STEM, we really want it to be a real problem, something that's real for the kids. And something that's real for us might not be something that's real for them. I was teaching science. We were learning about push and pull forces. And, you know, it's easy to think there are so many different areas that push and pull come into, but what is it that happens every day in the kids' lives that involves push and pull, and what could a problem be to do with that that's going to get the kids really engaged, and how can we help them find this problem? And so we came up with, in our classroom, the chairs are never pushed in, but we didn't want to have this problem ready to go. We wanted the kids to identify this problem and have ownership over the problem and the solutions. So that's where the juxtaposition and the scaffolding and the questioning and the discussion comes in. How do you do that in a junior primary setting? Well, you can do it in lots of different ways. You can do it with the pictures, as Bob's shown. I chose to do it in a slightly different way, and that was through acting. So I was tripping over chairs and falling over them and complaining about them and setting up extra monitors to deal with this horrendous problem in our classroom that, you know, was preventing our learning and this, that and the other. And so when it came time to talking about, you know, what's a problem in our classroom, the kids were able to really quickly come to the conclusion that, you know, all the chairs, we need to fix this problem of the chairs. So how do you think we can solve this problem? And we had some brainstorming sessions and things like that. And the kids came up with lots of different ideas, but the one that always pops up, no matter what year level you're teaching in, is, well, let's build a machine or let's build a robot. And as a teacher, you think, great, you're 6 years old, you want to build a robot. Awesome. How do we do that? And so we used what's called a Rube Goldberg machine, which is, if you don't know, it's basically a bunch of chain reactions that involve pushing and pulling forces and other forces that cause something to happen, an ultimate goal. And so we showed the kids a video of another child creating a Rube Goldberg machine with the intention of catching a monster, and pose the question, can we use this kind of machine to push in our chairs? And the kids were really, really taken with this and thought, yes, we can definitely do that. And they wanted to get started straight away. But then you've got to set up your success criteria and your learning intentions. What do we want to get out of this? And, you know, what's the point of doing this? How do we know if we've been successful? And even in a junior primary setting, the kids can be involved in that. I think teachers are quite scared to let kids take the ropes and say what they feel that they need to do, or let them run with it and just try and see where they end up. But realistically, that's where the best learning comes from. And so we created, as a class, a rubric, and the kids came up with all these different areas, like, well, we need to have designs that show our thinking, and we need to change our designs, and we need to show what materials we need. They came up with the ideas of, well, we need a different number of reactions. It's going to be really boring and simple if we have 2 reactions, and how can we make it challenging, and how can we extend ourselves? We talked about the different kinds of reactions. We talked about push and pull and gravity, and we really unpacked those. And, you know, how would we know that we were successful? Well, the ultimate goal is to push in this chair. So, okay, how far does the chair have to go? What if the chair falls over? What's the criteria around that? And the kids were able to be really explicit about what it was that they felt needed to happen for them to be successful. Once we had our success criteria in place, we were able to get started, and the kids were very clear on what they needed to do. We didn't have a lot of kids coming up or sitting there with not sure where to start, or, you know, needing teachers to come over and give them bits and pieces to start having a go. They were just straight in it, and they were so clear on what they needed to do.
The excitement and the buzz. Tori's class and the class that she that worked with hers did an expo in a very large space, and the entire school went through to see it, and the children who saw it learned so much from these year 1, 2 children. So.
And I think what was really cool as well is you've got, you know, year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kids coming in and asking year 1 students questions about their learning, and these year 1s are able to stand up and say, yeah, it had to be like this, and this is here because, and yeah, I agree. Okay, let's try that, and really taking on board some of these ideas because they have such this strong understanding of what it is they were doing and why they were doing it.
A good teacher will engage the emotions of her students, and it's that emotional experience to the learning that's going to make the learning memorable.